Hi, my name's John Huss. I'm a professor of philosophy at the University of Akron, and I'd like to talk to you and tell you a little bit about philosophy. And I want to start by discussing one of my favorite classes. It's a class that I teach every semester. It's called Introduction to Ethics. Ethics is the philosophical study of morality, or to put it more simply, ethics is concerned with a very simple question. What is it that makes a given act right or wrong? Now, as you can imagine, there's a lot of disagreement over many things, but there's agreement over others. One of the things that we do in this class that I really like is these classes have students from all over the place with lots of different views. And we find a way for everybody to be able to discuss their views, but in a framework that makes sense of it and allows us to make some progress in our understanding of the nature of right and wrong. Some of the theories that we discuss are the divine command theory. Does right and wrong come into existence by divine decree? Is it something that's created by God? Cultural relativism is another one of the theories. Is what a given culture says, is that what makes a given act right or wrong? Is it just relative to that culture? We also talk about natural law theory, the idea that it's just woven into the nature of us and the world that we live in, what right and wrong are. Another view that we talk about is utilitarianism, the idea that an action is right to the extent that it promotes the maximum amount of happiness for the maximum number of individuals affected. And by the way, that includes not just humans, but any being that's capable of feeling happy, including animals. We also talk about deontology. That's the view that ethics is just a matter of determining what one's duty is and carrying out that duty. But my favorite ethical theory that we talk about is virtue ethics. Virtue ethics is the study of what traits should we cultivate in ourselves and in other people that will result in a better world for everybody. What leads to human flourishing? One of the ideas on this comes from Aristotle. Aristotle thought that we could identify a certain set of virtues. And what's interesting about virtues for Aristotle is that every single virtue is a midway point between two vices. Let's take, for example, the virtue of bravery. Bravery is a good thing. It's good that there are brave people in the world, and it takes many different forms. But when somebody is too bold, takes too many risks relative to what the payoff could be, we would refer to that person as brash, brazen, or foolhardy. That is a vice that corresponds to an excess of whatever quality it is that makes somebody brave. We can also talk about vices of deficiency. When someone's not sufficiently brave, we call that cowardice. That's another vice. If the world has too many brazen people, if the world has too many cowardly people, it won't be a good world. A good world has a nice mix of people who have different forms of bravery. That leads me to one last thing that we always do when I teach Introduction to Ethics. And that is, each student comes up with their best plan for how to be the best possible person they could be. They go through an inventory of all of the things that they care about. They go through all of the different theories that we studied in depth, and they use the resources of those theories to figure out what makes sense for me. What things am I already good at? What virtues are already a part of who I am? Which ones do I think I could develop, and how will I do it? And when I put it all together, does it mean that I have to constantly be thinking about every single thing that I do and whether it's carrying out my best plan or not? No. Most of us go through life just operating by feel. That's fine. But every once in a while, wouldn't it be great if you could go back to a plan that you've developed in a thoughtful way and think about, are there any ways that I can tweak the way that I'm living so that I'm living in a better way, both for myself and for all of the people with whom I come into contact? That's what I love about that class, because it has intellectual content where we study what some of the great thinkers have said about ethics and what some of the great theories have to offer. And then at the end, we pull it all together and we figure out, how can this help me? How can I put it together in such a way that I'm helping myself be better and helping the world be a better place for all of us? I recommend that you come to the University of Akron and you study philosophy. And if you take one class in philosophy, I think the best class for you to take is Introduction to Ethics.